Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
All right, guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. I got a special guest here, soon-to-be business partner, Ryan Zolin. Did I get that right, buddy?
You did.
Yes. All right. Well, this guy, man, I tell you what, we met in January at I flew out randomly for one day. We got to talk, and we didn't think much of it, and then we got to talk on the phone. We wound up, we have a lot in common, but this guy, he's a powerhouse. He's only 22 years old, been a broker for a while. He's got a wholesale team, multiple businesses. So why don't you tell us kind of your story, how you got started, and we'll start there.
For sure. So story now goes back about 4 years. Got into real estate at 18. I didn't want to go the traditional route of hopping into college. I just was in a business club throughout high school, and it didn't seem to make sense to me to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to make 40 grand a year. So my dad was offering to pay for the college. That wasn't an issue. He just said that he was only going to pay if I was going to be a doctor, lawyer, attorney, or an engineer. And I crossed all of those off very quickly, realizing how much more school I needed. So I was like, absolutely not. So I went into real estate school. I started July 5th, 2016. I got out, it was middle of August. Started off at a brokerage, Keller Williams. I was an inside sales agent, just hitting the phones about 7 a.m. till 5, 6 p.m., working leads, working their systems, assigning them out. It was a lot of like just dirty work, labor, but honestly, it was a very, very good learning experience because I got to learn how to nurture leads, kind of how to set them up on campaigns, what people were looking for, and just being on the phones. I found that that's a pretty big fear for a lot of people in the real estate industry. So I was able to get past that and overcome it at 18. So I was only with them for a short few months. Started there, it was like August, September 2016, left in December. I was there for those few months, but for me, it wasn't a good experience in the long run because I just got screwed over money-wise. I didn't realize what I was getting taken advantage of. And it wasn't anything bad. It was, like I said, it was a great learning experience, but closed 4 deals. I got paid $900, and I was like, "Whoa, I can make a lot more money doing this anywhere else."
What?
So yeah, it was a little sketchy, man. But I realized it was, when you're young at 18, you're told 3%, 6%. So that's all I'm running through my head. And so when you realize it's 10% of 3%, it's not always the best deal. So
might have had the same experience in my private equity job.
Yeah, dude.
That's a lot of money. Yeah. That's a lot of money on the table there that the company made, but I got $200.
For sure. And it was all good. I understand the model they ran, and it was just me not knowing what I had gotten into. But the catch there was that I was on salary, 24 grand a year, really, really luxury lifestyle. So I left that pretty quickly. My dad introduced me to a guy. His name is Jeff Dorston. He owns a pizza shop right across the street from ASU, and he's just a very successful businessman. So I knew he had a real estate license over at a brokerage that I originally had decided to not go with because Keller Williams offered me that salary. But I was deciding between Keller Williams and this other brokerage. I won't say their name just because kind of added on bad beef, but him and I ended up becoming like a mentor-mentee relationship. He taught me the ropes just in a year. And while I was just learning, we ended up becoming the number 3 team at the brokerage. So I had my first 6-figure year at 19, just kind of learning the ropes.
Hold on. Don't just slide that by.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that you made over $100,000 at 19?
I did.
How many deals did you close that year?
We did I brought in, so this is the catch with him. It was a 50-50 split on deals that I brought in, and then he had his own deals separately. Obviously, for me, I didn't have any issue with that at all because I was learning the ropes. I had no idea what I didn't know. I only knew how to take care of leads. So for him, he wanted to put most of his business into the pizza shop. He did pretty comfortable on real estate on the side, about 50 to 100 a year anyway. But when I brought my value of, hey, I can generate these leads and just help me close them, he's like, okay, why not? And it was also kind of helping out my dad. But no, after that year, I was also kind of having like some bad blood about the whole team thing. I was like, I'm not gonna have a partner, I'm not gonna have a team, all this stuff. And after just a year with him, I came to him like, hey, I want to be a partner and I want to create a team.
What?
So
I gotta get in here because
okay,
at
yeah,
19, I was, what was I doing at 19? I don't know what the fuck I was doing, but I wasn't doing good. I was probably bartending, drinking too much, making some good money, but I wasn't making 100 grand. You're 19, you make 100 grand, you're flossing. Like, are you feeling yourself, or are you the guy
honestly,
that
dude, I was in grind mode. I wasn't really I wasn't wrapped up in everything because I was starting to realize that in real estate, it takes money to make money. You've got to be able to put out a pretty penny in order to generate leads, overhead, whatever it is that you're using to generate deals. But as I was spending that, I was making sure that I just had a budget. So it taught me a lot of life lessons, but it actually kind of kept me humble. And I think it was really Jeff doing that. And I actually haven't even told him that, but he was the guy that kind of told me like, don't flaunt, just kind of keep your mouth shut, keep going. And he actually, one of the first things, this is a fun story. He would not buy me coffee. Every time I met with him, he would only have me meet him at Starbucks, but he would never buy me coffee. He said, coffee's for closers. So, yep. So
I love this guy.
Dude,
okay, listen.
Yeah.
This is a separate thing because we're really good friends.
Yeah.
After we get off this podcast, you just had a
Yep.
breakthrough on the podcast, by the way, if you didn't notice it. I want you to text him and tell him thank you. You don't have to say anything else. Say thank you for teaching me. And that's just gratitude in the moment. But I love this guy. This is my dude.
He's the one that really opened the door for me in real estate. And it was kind of cool because we were that big name duo that just kind of kicked ass, opened up, and people were like, who is this guy? You know, Jeff doesn't really show up to the office, and I'm the guy that's like, not to like trash on that brokerage, but I'm like one of the few guys that would show up every single day. So for a 19-year-old to be in the office from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m., everyone was just so taken back. And for me, I'm like, dude, this is better than 7 to 6. So 8 to 5, and I get to do what I want. Like nobody's telling me what to do. And if I create a lead or I find a deal, whatever, all I've got to do is bring it over to Jeff. Mm-hmm. So for me, I was like, dude, this is a breeze.
No, people don't understand. Yeah. I'd be 100% content, and I do it most days, working from 6 to 4. Mm-hmm. Like I want to be done at like 4:30. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
They're like hanging out, like they haven't done anything. You're probably ripping apart egos in that office.
Probably, but honestly, what I was telling myself is that it kept me competitive. I'm a very competitive person, and they had all their awards up on the board, and so I was like, I'm not stopping until I'm up there. And after our first year, as I was saying, like I had bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, I don't want a team, I don't want a partner. Screw that, screw everybody. Well, fast forward a year of the mentor-mentee relationship, I sat down with him and I was like, hey, we're going to be business partners. And it kind of took him back, but also, I mean, at 19, he saw what I was capable of in really that year and a half. That he was like, okay, what do I have to lose? Like our overhead was so small and it didn't really affect us for what we were bringing in deals wise. And we were averaging probably like five deals, maybe a little bit more every month, just the two of us. So then we started expanding. We brought on 2 agents right from the start. We had 2 guys that saw some value in me. I was just giving back at one of the trainings that the brokerage had. And I stayed and chatted with a guy for an hour and a half. And he, fast forward now, he's my top agent. So he's still with me. But
so hold on. At 19, you start growing a team.
Yeah, I do. That wasn't even the bad part. We had so many people.
But what I'm saying is you got to help the listeners out there.
Okay.
What kind of where are you getting the mindset training? Where are you having this confidence to start employing people and leading the team with people that I'm sure are way older than you?
100% they were older than me. I was the youngest guy in the brokerage at the time. And I just kind of used that as my advantage. I didn't really think too much. I was actually just thinking bigger. I kept reminding myself I was breaking it all down. I'm very big on reverse engineering things to make it make sense for me. I think that everybody has a specific way that works for them. But when I break it down, I was like, I'm capped where I can only do probably about like that 5, maybe 10 deals a month. And so I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can expand. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can get a few other people. I saw the team that I was on. I saw how they structured things. I was the guy that kind of handled their entire database of leads. So
Yeah, that's crazy. So you start the team, you hire 2 agents,
yep.
and then where do we go from there?
So we had 2 agents, Kyle and Kurt, and then we ended up bringing on, gosh, I lost track of how we even had them, but we had at one point 15 agents.
So you're what, at 20 at this time?
Just about, yeah.
So just about 20, and you're managing 15 agents.
Yep.
So what happened?
I hated my life, dude.
Were you even doing deals anymore, or were you putting out fires, or were you basically the kindergarten teacher for a bunch of spoiled agents? Probably
all of the above. All of the above. I came into a lot of challenges with people that found themselves feeling like they were worth more, and I'm not like demeaning them at all. It was just that I was fronting all the stuff, and I had a partner that took half of what I was making too. And when we were fronting all the money and agents were coming to me expecting more from a split or throwing a fit about certain fees, a lot of it had to do with the brokerage we were at. And I was able to kind of whittle out some of the agents by realizing a lot of them weren't in it for the big picture. They were in it just for their success at the moment. They didn't care about the team. They didn't care about me. They cared about free leads coming in and just closing deals. And it was a pretty good wake-up call for me, because I realized it when I sat down at the brokerage with my partner. He wasn't comfortable with it, but I could tell that he supported me and he knew that's what I wanted. We were asking for some just basic support things from the brokerage, and they basically told me to pound sand, treated me just like a kid, and they took my partner seriously, not me. And so we split apart. I ended up firing everybody. I took the 2 agents that I first originally hired. They both wanted to come with me. And so we went over to the big shiny object brokerage at EXP. We were there for only a few months, but yeah.
So how do you deal with that? I mean, cause like technically like you were successful, but it was, what I'm saying is like the machine got out of control and your business was running you weren't running your business. So like in 100%. Essence, you can look at it any way you want, but like there was some failure in that, right? So
absolutely, man. There was way too much managing people.
Instead of executing, right?
Exactly.
And so like, what are you telling yourself in that? Like, how do you bounce back from like, there's a part of you that probably started when you started like that, this is going to be it. I'm going to be this massive fucking agent with all these people underneath us. And then you get to the end of it and you're like, I don't like
100%.
any of this. Right.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. We were at that point 100%. That was my vision, was that I was like, I'm going to create a big team. And I had talked to another broker owner of a place down the street in Gilbert. And I reached out to him, and he had a brokerage of like 500 people. And he told me if he could go back and redo it all, he would just create a team. He would never have a brokerage. He'd never do anything big like that. And so it kind of sunk in. So I'm like, okay, let's really bank on this whole team thing. But there's a story that I want to hit on because it goes hand in hand with EXP. And I know you know where it's coming.
Yes.
But at EXP, the guy
greatest story ever.
Dude, so at EXP, it's a multi-level marketing company. So for those that don't know, if you're at the top, you win. If you're at the bottom, you do all the legwork. That's all. There was a guy, his name is Templeton Walker, and he was kind of one of my role models that he didn't even know he was a role model from the beginning when I met him at Keller Williams. I was the guy that, like I said, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. I walked in every day, and I had a little like partition set up, and they put me in the back of a hallway, and I had 2 monitors and a headset, and I had to walk past this one guy's office every day. As I walked by, this dude, and it was like 10 a.m. It was, usually after I've been there for a few hours, this guy's rolling in. But I walked by, and this guy's in freaking shorts and some polos. He's got a snapback on, some flip-flops, and he's got an all-glass window leading into his office. And I'm looking in like, I'm doing something wrong if I'm back in the corner making 24 grand a year and $900 for 4 deals. Like, this is not me. So of course I did the whole like 18, 19-year-old thing. I slid in on the DMs on Instagram, Facebook, all that. Just
and he has
on social media.
And I want to highlight him here because he's like my favorite human ever. I know you feel the same way.
For sure.
People are drawn to him. Like you cannot not hang out with him. He's charismatic, right? So you're thinking to yourself, I'm in a cubicle. Here's homeboy. And dude, I could picture it, dude. So I didn't even hit him up. Like I hit him up on social media, but we never like really like touched base. It was when I was over at the brokerage with my partner Jeff, and we were growing the team. He kind of saw me making some noise. He's like, okay, like this brokerage, they're not really known for too much, but whatever. Like you've got a team, and you guys are getting a lot of recognition. So let's hit them up. Like let's just see what's going on. So Temp actually took me to breakfast in downtown Gilbert and just offered a bunch of advice.
And we had a conversation where he was talking about like traditional and everything. Cause like you had said, you made a really good point. My mindset was, I've got to take this from just me and Jeff to 1,000 agents. I don't care how bad the overhead is. I don't care how many headaches. I'm going to delegate. I'm going to create this whole big process, team, organization, whatever you want to call it. And it's going to kick ass. Well, when I sat down with him at breakfast, I was like, okay, you've got like 20 agents. Like I'm getting there. Like I'm pretty close. Like, okay. He was telling me, he's like, I don't know if he wants me to share this. He's like, I'm doing like 50 to 70 million. I'm like, shit. I'm like, dude, like I did like 10, and that was with me and my partner really carrying the team. And that was when it really sunk in for me at that meeting that I realized my team wasn't producing. So I got a really good wake up call from him, and he was kind of an accountability partner that he didn't even realize that he was, because he made a comment that really struck me, that got my interest. He mentioned wholesaling, and I was like, wholesaling? Like, I mean, I know people wholesale like shoes, they wholesale clothes, they wholesale even like just a bunch of stuff, like whatever. Well, he mentioned, he's all like, yeah, I mean, I do wholesaling. I mean, sometimes it brings in like an extra 400,000 a year on the side. And I just kind of paused and stood there. Like, I remember he paid for my breakfast. I'm sitting there eating waffles. And I just remember stopping and staring at him like, did you just say on the side? I'm like, that's like the next 4 years based on how I did last year. Like, how did you do that on the side in 1 year if that's not even your full attention? And that's when he kind of like was going into the spiel of, oh, I do fix and flips, I do wholesaling, I've got all this creative stuff. And this was before it was even like really like big, which is kind of weird for me to even say, only being in the industry for 4 years. Wholesaling has taken off like no other in the past year, maybe even year and a half, where everybody and their uncle wants to do it. So I kind of got like a little bit of an in, not like too much information, but I got a gist of what he was doing. So when I was at that one brokerage and I split apart from my partner, when I was going to the multi-level marketing company, EXP, he told me, he's like, hey, come under me. I will show you the ropes. And for me, I had a really tough decision. You know, you've got 15 people, you've got a partner, you're kicking ass, you're the top agent at the brokerage, top team. You're seriously like, you're done. Temp made one comment that really stuck to me. And it was when I met him at his office and he sold me. He's like, hey, do you want to be the big fish in a small pond, or do you want to be the small fish in a sea of an ocean with all the big fish around you guiding you? And I was like, whoa, like that's big. And in that moment, I had realized I hit my peak at that brokerage. I went to them and I even talked to them about wholesaling. They kind of told me to pound sand. It doesn't happen. It doesn't exist, yada, yada. I realize now it's because they don't get any split from it. The broker doesn't get anything. But while I was at EXP, we had some issues we ran into, and it was, of course, just me and then the two guys that I brought over. Out of those two, one of them ended up leaving. So it was just Kyle and I, but we were there for a few months. We had a few issues. We had a couple other people that ended up coming like underneath us, but their onboarding process wasn't too hot, and they had lost like 3 of our checks. There was a bunch of stuff that had happened in the interim of all that, but it was just way too much for me to deal with. I didn't feel like I should be dealing with check issues and payment when that should be the easiest part of the whole transaction. So we split off there, and Temp and I were meeting every week, kind of going through the whole like guidance, like one-on-one training. And him and I sat down one day and we were just like, dude, this isn't it. And he was like, I think I'm going to go back to this place I'm at, Stunning Homes Realty. It's like, you want me to introduce you to the broker? And I was like, well, I mean, I just split apart from my partner and I fired 15 agents, and I'm not really doing as good as I was last year. So of course, yeah, why not? And I was still doing deals, probably like maybe 2 to 3 a month. And that was between me and Kyle. So the only thing that was different is that I wasn't giving away half money to my partners. I just had to supply leads for one agent, and he closed the deals. So it was good. It all worked out. But when we met with Steve, it was a complete game changer. That was January 2019. And he told me he's going to show me the ropes of wholesale. I asked him why was that in his interest? Because I knew that he wasn't going to be getting paid. And he told me he has a goal that he was going to create 100 millionaires. And I set down some guidelines like, hey, I just want to meet with you twice a month. I want to go through just coaching. I want all these things, like little things for the team, whatever. And he complied. And that was the first time I ever had a broker that was willing to like take a chance on me, saw the value in me, and was willing to even put in effort that I didn't even know that I was worth, you know? So that was a big game changer for us.
2 things. I'm going to say this so it's on record. And so everybody that we know in this city, because we're actually in Arizona right now filming this in the same house. But I say this every time I bring one of y'all on from this area. I like envious would be an understatement, because the network and the support that is available for you young hustlers in the business in Arizona it warms my heart. I've never seen anything like it in real estate. Y'all have just a cornucopia of the most amazing people I've ever seen. You know, Brent Daniels,
100%.
Steve Tran, Templeton, Pace. These people are amazing humans. Who cares about the business part? And so I can only imagine how wonderful it is. You know, you've made, what I really want to get down to with you is, how are you making these quick pivots and not overthinking them? Like, cause you like to like vet stuff out. So like, are you just saying like, hey, this is what it is, and I'm just on a journey? Like, you know, like where, like, cause that's what all the young kids ask me. Like, you know, how do you just like make these quick pivots, and like, you don't know what's going to happen, right? You have no idea that you're going to be introduced to Steve Tran and he's going to be so nice and all this stuff. Right. And it's changed your life.
For sure. Yeah. So honestly, for me, it kind of stems back to even Jeff, just kind of staying humble and just taking it one day at a time. I grew up with the philosophy, control what you can control and not like overthinking as much as humanly possible. I understand it's human nature to really want to dive in. And I do have to say, like, on my personal life, that's definitely more of who I am. Business, I don't know why, but I just never really had that. I'm always the guy that I take it for what it is on surface value. I look at the numbers and I just make my decision from there. I feel like numbers is entire business for me. If I can look at, okay, spend $5,000 a month, need to bring in at least 10. Mm-hmm. Out of that 10, I shouldn't be paying anything out to like split wise to other people like that. I should be at least making what I'm putting in 2 times over. So, but yeah, no, we do pivot a lot, but honestly, it's just at this point, we're just trying to grow the wholesale side. I've realized that the concept of mastering real estate is not possible. So
amen. It's a process. I've been on my soapbox for months. You just mindset, you can't master it. So let's finish this up, and then we're going to dive into some interesting stuff I've got in my brain. It's going to be like kind of like a coaching call on the podcast. So what are you doing now currently as we sit? What have you done the last couple of years as you switch to this new brokership? You're learning wholesale. You know, what does the business look like so people can get their hands around what you're doing per month, so on and so on?
So wholesale side, we ended up doubling my income last year, first year doing it. So wholesale was cool. Steve really got me in the door by connecting me to people. The guy that I like owe my life to at wholesale is Jamil Damji with Keegley. That dude is like seriously one of my like biggest homies. Like I really respect the hell out of him. I went and I met with him when I was just getting into wholesale. I was explaining I was over at Steve's brokerage. I have a traditional team. And at this point, the traditional team, we're back up doing about 5 to 10 deals a month. So we're doing pretty good. Like it's paying for itself.
How many agents underneath you?
Me, Kyle, we've got a guy on the team that we brought in last year. His name is Daniel. He came in February or March-ish, right as we were launching up the wholesale side. And then we've got a part-timer too. Her name is Nikki. So, but it was really just me and Kyle again. So I'm doing most of that stuff. It was actually really cool to be able to track. Last year was what I felt like was my best year growth wise, the income, wholesaling everything. And then also with the traditional side, I stepped away from traditional last spring. I spent 2.5 months locking myself in my room, just 100% in on this course. Keegley announced that they were releasing this astro flipping community, whatever course, whatever you want to call it. And I was the second student to go in. So Jamil, like right when I hit him up, it was perfect timing. I met at his office and he was like, yeah, I actually have this course I'm going to be launching in about 2 weeks. I was like, okay. So I ended up paying for that. And dude, it was so weird because at this point, like my overhead for traditional, like $2,000 to $2,500 was about like where we were. And for the course, it was $6,000. And so for me, it wasn't like I could afford it, but it was the first big purchase that I felt like I was making that I didn't even think twice about. Like as soon as he said it was $6,000, it was like my brain didn't register, oh my God, it's $6,000. It registered as, okay, well, you got to make 12. You got to find a way to make 12 on your first deal now. Let's do it. So I went, locked myself in. I went through that entire course. And it was then about a month and a half, 2 months later, we ended up closing a deal and we made $10,000 on that.
$10,000.
So
So
Yeah.
boom, 4%. And what kind of, as you sit right now, how many wholesale deals have you done? What kind of overhead are you running on that side of the business?
So wholesale side is a completely different animal. That's been where my passion is at 110%. I've put most of my effort, my day to day is in that side now. I do help with traditional, but it's more on just putting out fires. And then obviously if any like personal friendships or relationships come around, then I help them with buying or selling. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I just kick all the deals over to Kyle, Daniel, and Nikki. And then, so traditional side, overhead and everything, we're running that actually pretty lean. I just scaled that all back. We just transitioned CRMs that we saved about $1,000 a month. Mm-hmm. So we're keeping that. I try to keep that under $5,000. Mm-hmm. But then as for the wholesale side, that's a pretty good benchmark too, is about $5,000. So,
okay. And you've done like 20 deals, 25
wholesale. So last year we did, that was about 20. And then this year we've already done, I would have to check our numbers. I'd say 7 to 10 deals wholesale this year.
Yeah. And you told me about the deal you're doing Friday, which is kind of cool. Double dipping. So
yes.
Biggest wholesale of the year. Tell them about that deal.
So that one's cool. That was the nice thing I found is also just, again, goes back to networking and relationships. That's, I feel, this entire business, that and numbers, relationships and numbers. But this guy, he was doing a flip with us last year. He was a buddy of mine from high school. I met him in that business club. I actually met him in Atlanta. Go figure this out. I had one advisor from my school. He was at a different school. Our school had too many people. His school didn't have enough, so they had to put in a room. My advisor trusted that I would be one of the more mature kids to put in with him. And him and I, 6 years later, just randomly started catching up again. And he's flipping houses. So he has a property he's working on, and his dad thought he was going to get like 200, maybe 210. We ended up selling it for 265, first day on market, and we blew him out of the water. His dad was like, "Hey, I want you to invest back in real estate. I want to really sparked up his joy." Well, I hit him up once I came across this one deal, and this is just the biggest one of the year for us so far, but it's 20 grand we're making on the wholesale, and then he'll end up listing it with us on the backside too. So it's kind of like going hand in hand.
Yeah, you're going to make money twice. Perfectly.
For sure. But that's what we try to do. Make sure one company scratches the other and just keep them rolling.
Amazing. So inspired. Ridiculous. So guys, I'm going to do something. You don't know I'm bringing this heat right now, but this is going to be interesting. Man. So I'm intrigued. Okay. Because, so just so you know, guys, me and Ryan are launching a wholesale company in the next couple of weeks ourselves, starting out in San Antonio and Central Texas. So we're going to have our own wholesale company as well. I've never done one before, but we're going to figure it out. But I'm intrigued. So we decided to start this business before we met in person quickly, but after I was back in San Antonio, and, you know, I have a business with a partner, an Airbnb business, and we've actually never met in person, and we have like 10 properties. So I'm asking you, and you don't have to go as deep as you want, but, you know, what is it about me, or I'm just using me as an example, what is it about me that falls in line with your vision, right? To start a business with a guy, you know enough of me, but you know, we're still getting to know each other. So what is that? Why are you so comfortable in saying yes? Am I very persuasive? I'm just like, but what I'm saying is like, or do we just fall in line with our core? I'm just asking.
No,
really.
For sure. Dude, it's a great topic, and I loved it. I love these types of conversations. I'm very big on personal development, and I feel like I got that vibe really like last year once I started doing that wholesale course. I do not make money off this. This is just my spiel about that course. The week one alone, I think, was worth the entire $6,000, and the week one was all mindset. So for me, it really broke down like my core values. It broke down who I was as a person, what I'm looking for, some things that I didn't even realize that were insecurities and struggle I was dealing with that I, like I said, didn't even know that I was like working on. So with you, I felt like you really align with the personal development, but you also have this fun accountability like part to you where you're not afraid to call somebody on their shit and get up in their face. And that's a very no BS shit that I like. So for me, I'm all about call me out. If I'm not doing something, if I'm not holding somebody accountable, if I tell somebody, hey, I'll be there, I'm going to work these 10 leads and I don't work those 10 leads, I want them to come back to me, slap me in the face, and then give me 20 leads. Yeah. So, and that's the vibe I get from you.
True story, bro. And this, I haven't even told you this, so I'll just say it to everybody. Me and you did a shitty job in the first 2 months of expectations and accountability. I was busy.
100%.
You're busy. The only reason, and you can even ask Meech, my other business partner, the only reason that we're in business together is the way that you responded to me calling you out. And I even showed him and I said, look at the amazing response. I'm calling him on the deck and he's saying, thank you. I hear you and I will do better. And I was like, oh, I want to be in business with that guy. Like
100%, man.
That's
I want people to push me to the next level all day, every day. And I've realized like how selective you have to be with the people in your sphere. Like that's saying like the 5 people you spend the most time with is who you are as a person. I couldn't agree more with something like that. Like I that's why my team is as small as it is. I've got really it's 3 of us that are in the office on a day-to-day basis. I love it. I love having that little team camaraderie, and everybody feels like we're more of a family rather than like a business.
So, I mean, I guess, you know, a lot of the kids that listen are younger, they're not, but kind of talk about, you know, you're 22, you've had a ton of success. You know, you're going to have a 3rd business soon in a couple of weeks. And we've got other plans for other stuff. Obviously we're going to just take over the world. So it's not a big deal. I just say it so nonchalantly. But like, when you sit home and you're reflecting, right? As a 22-year-old that's had massive success, you know, you're not resting on your laurels. You're not fancy by any stretch of the imagination. You just go to work. What do you like? If I were to say you at 22, and the answer is going to be different at 30, but what would you like your impact to be like in the next 8 years, right? Like what really fills you up? Like basically the podcast is about constructing your life. You're trying to build a life by design. So yes, real estate is a vehicle and you love wholesaling. And I know you have other passions too, but just like, what does that look like for you if you had to put it in context?
So with a lot of the reflecting I've done recently, I actually came across like a passion that I didn't really even realize that I had. I really enjoy teaching. I really enjoy like giving back to people. And I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I thrived so much in real estate as quickly as I did, was that I didn't really care about the money. I was never in it for the money. And it wasn't that my why wasn't money, because of course I want to mean that's money's great. But I think I was too young to really understand how much impact like actually making a difference in somebody's life is to that person. So like when you're dealing with people buying and selling homes, you don't realize that that's the most expensive purchase that they're going to make in their entire life. Well, for me at 18, I was so worried about how is somebody going to trust me at 18 to help them with buying and selling a house, that now I could look back and be like, I was so in my own head that as I'm reflecting, I wish I could go back and just kind of give myself a lesson and be like, dude, you're thinking too small right now. If I got into the wholesale game at 18 or 19, even that extra year or two, I think about what I could have done. And I'm only 22. There's guys I know that are getting into the industry 30, 35, 40, some even 50s, man. They look at hello, hi, right? And there's people that they do that. And I respect the hell out of them more than I respect people that are younger getting in the industry. Because in the industry, getting in young, you fail and you're out, which 80% are in the first year, you can go do something else. 30, 35, 40, you're jumping in 2 feet. You've got like some people have got wife, kids, overhead, all this stuff, dude. Like life is expensive. And that was another thing that I didn't get slapped in my face till really even 21, 22, where I'm at now, where I'm like, oh my God, the cost of living. Everybody wants to make all this money, but nobody wants to put in the work. And again, going back to the whole small team, but whatever, that's another story. At 30, dude, I would love to have given back. Steve wants to do that whole 100 millionaires. He's kind of inspired me. I don't want to copy his goal, but I feel like if I knew that I was making 25 to 50 millionaires in my life, I feel like I will give him back enough. And that might even be too small now. I may be saying 25, 50. I could look back on this podcast in 10 years and be like, oh my God, I have 500 people that work for the team at whatever, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, I don't really have a vision of what it looks like if I'm going to be Airbnb, if I'm going to be wholesaling, if I'm fix and flip. Real estate, like you said, I like how you mentioned vehicle. Real estate is my vehicle. I'm just using that to create financial freedom for me to cover all my assets so that I can do what I want. But overall, I do want to give back. I want to teach. I think that would be something that I would love to be doing on a full-time basis, giving back to people.
It is amazing. My heart is smiling inside, but it's true because so I'll be 39 this year in December. And I tell this to 18, 19, 20-year-olds that are investing just to really jab them. This is my favorite thing. So I just sold a house, but we had 3 houses, and there's probably like $500K worth of equity in the houses, right? Which equity is BS. It's just made up. But I told them that I would give them my houses for free. I'm dead serious. I would give them my houses for free. I can be in debt. I don't care. To go back at 20 and know what I know now, I would be retired at 27 already. Like,
dude, I here you go. I got another fun story for you. Actually, it was at the meetup where you and I had met at Templeton's meetup. So when we were sitting there, and you might even remember this comment. It was you, me, Daniel. I think Alec was there, Temp, and Pace, and we were talking about basically like the $1 million question that everybody asks. If you could go back and start over with X amount of dollars and to spend, how would you do it? How would you generate deals? Why, where, whatever. Okay. Pace made a comment, something super similar to you, that actually was like a reality check that I didn't realize I needed. And it was one that kind of put me in like a super humble space, even like when I first got into wholesaling. He made a comment saying, if I could give you everything I have, and he was talking everything. He's talking his business. He's talking his knowledge. He's talking all of his stuff he's built up. If I could give you all that to go back in your place, just to have your age, he's like, I would. But it wasn't just that comment. He said, I would run miles on you. And to me, I was able to grasp how much he has and how much knowledge he has. And for him to be able to say to my face that he could go back in time and he would still run miles on what I'd be given. Oh my God. That was like a slap in the face that I was like, I like you. I like you.
Dude, here's the thing. People don't understand this. Regardless if you've got 30 businesses, regardless if you got 5 businesses, no deals whatsoever, everybody's playing small. Everybody. Gary 100%. V's playing small. And the thing
once you can wrap your head around that too, right?
Dude, that is like the holy shit moment, because here's the deal. I have a quote that I live by. Chris gave it to me, my podcast producer. If we are not pissing off somebody by 12 o'clock with our content, we're not doing it good enough. And the thing is like, you realize like, I know, but Gary Vee's putting all this content out, right? But like everybody can't catch all the content, but it's not about that. Cause like if this podcast impacts one young kid, something, you have to remove your ego from it, because I know what we care about, and I know what we'll eventually create from the wholesale vehicle is we'll create a school to teach people, first of all. Second of all, we use that vehicle to go give charity, because I know it's what me and you care about. And so like I'm over telling, if one more fucking person tells me that they don't care about money, oh, it's the evil, fuck your ass. And I'm sorry, I'm getting pissed off because it's bullshit. Because Mark Cuban, who has billions of dollars, can do more for charity and make waves. So don't tell me that money doesn't matter. You know, it's how you go on vacation. It's how you spend time with your family. When you meet all these guys, all these dudes that have made it, right? Yeah. Whatever you want to call it, made it, whatever that dumb word is. But all they're looking to do is purchase time. That's it.
Seriously. Yeah.
So guess what? Money does that for you. Passive income does that for you. Yep. Hello. Stop saying that it doesn't matter.
That was the reason I got into real estate, though, was that I wanted to have that freedom and flexibility. And I knew that to be financially free, most millionaires are created throughout real estate. I mean, that was, again, going back to numbers. I was like, okay, real estate, no college degree, go to real estate school. That's it. Okay, done. And I honestly, dude, the one thing I wish more young people reached out to me to just ask, like,
dude, don't even, now you got me on this is the biggest soapbox. And I don't have it as often as I would imagine the dudes that mentor us have it. I would imagine it happens to them 50 times a day.
Yep.
If I could count on hands, fingers, toes, how many fuckers have come to me and said, man, I would love to learn real estate. I would love to do this. And then I give them one small task and they can't even do the small task. Dude, you don't want it. You don't want it hard enough. And the thing is with my Ironman training and my businesses and everything, this is what I tell myself. I do not negotiate my goals with myself. There's no fucking excuses.
Love it.
The life that I want, the life that me and you want together as business owners, partners, is greater than anybody can put their head around.
100%.
So we don't have to validate anything to them. I mean, it's true. No, I mean, you're 22 years old, bro. I mean, I'll just be frank. You've made more money in a year than I've made total. Like, I'm just getting my shit together. Like, I've just stopped being an alcoholic. I'm just now got my head on right. Like, I would give everything to go back and tell that 17-year-old kid, like, pull your fucking head out of your ass. Stop playing the victim and go out and work. And that's what you've done. And it's inspiring as shit. I love it. It's like, how do you not want to be in business with this guy? Like, dude, you're a fucking assassin.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
So it's great. And like, we're going to go to a meetup later today, and I've like never been happier in my entire life. And I told you to the text, that's what I thought was so great. We'll leave it at this. I said, come have some fun with me today. We'll do it. He goes, yeah, there is fun. It's called the meetup. I got to go network. Yeah. Cause you're so on it. I mean, it's so great. I love that,
Dude.
And that's just the way you roll.
I need to get out and do more though. Like that's
sure.
the balance I'm trying to find.
The good news is you're a business partner of mine now, so you don't have a choice but not to, because that's
right.
It's what I do, baby.
I
just put networker on my card. That's all that needs to be done. So how does people find you? How I haven't told you this. We're going to work on your social media game. We're gonna get it up there a little bit. But I get it. You're not boastful. It's not about, but if I could give you a piece of advice, it's not about being boastful. Providing value. That's it.
Yep. 100%. And that's the part where I'm still working on that, trying to get through it. But yeah, I'm working on social media to get out there. My social media handle for everything is just my first and last name, Ryan Zolin, RyanZolin. And yeah, other than that, people can hit me up on my cell. It's 480-612-2213. Text, call, whatever.
And if you need him, just text me and I'll blow him up. So one day he'll respond to me properly on time. But see, he needs to understand there's going to be a separate mastermind group for people that are in business with me, and y'all have a support group. So you got to get with Meech and Chris, because they've hacked my brain, and we have Airtable apps where I get to download information so I don't text everybody so much. It's ridiculous. Dude, thank you so much, bro. Man, this is a killer episode. Thank you for bringing so much value. If you like this, guys, share it, send it everywhere, rate us, review us, and reach out to Ryan. Thanks so much for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.